What if everything you think is keeping you safe is actually keeping you small? What if your comfort zone isn't a cozy sanctuary, but a beautifully decorated prison that you've built with your own hands, furnished with your own fears, and locked from the inside with keys you've thrown away? What if the very routines that make you feel secure are the same routines that are slowly suffocating your potential, killing your dreams one comfortable day at a time? You wake up at the same time every day. You take the same route to work. You order the same coffee from the same place. You sit in the same chair, talk to the same people, complain about the same problems, watch the same shows, scroll through the same apps, and go to bed at the same time every night. And you call this living. But what if I told you that every single person you admire, every success story that inspires you, every breakthrough that changed the world, every moment of genuine joy and fulfillment in human history happened because someone decided to step outside their comfort zone? What if I told you that your comfort zone is not actually comfortable at all, but a slow, burning anxiety that you've learned to mistake for peace? That the stress of staying the same is actually greater than the stress of changing. But you've become so used to it that you don't even notice it anymore. You know this feeling? That quiet desperation that creeps in during your lunch break when you're staring at your computer screen, wondering if this is all there is. That Sunday evening dread that starts around 3 p.m. when you realize another week is about to begin exactly like the last one. That moment when you're scrolling through social media and see someone living the life you thought about having, but never actually pursued. That voice in your head that whispers, what if? What if you had taken that job in another city? What if you had started that business? What if you had learned that skill? What if you had said yes to that opportunity? What if you had said no to that relationship that was draining your energy? What if you had spoken up in that meeting? What if you had applied for that program? What if you had traveled to that place? What if you had been brave just once? The comfort zone promises you safety, but it delivers mediocrity. It promises you security, but it gives you stagnation. It promises you peace, but it breeds a restlessness that follows you everywhere you go because deep down, you know you're capable of more. Your comfort zone is that friend who always agrees with you but never challenges you to grow. It's that job that pays the bills but slowly kills your soul. It's that relationship that's fine but never makes your heart race. It's that routine that feels manageable but never leads to anything extraordinary. And here's the thing that nobody talks about: staying in your comfort zone isn't actually comfortable. It's the slow burn of regret. It's the compound interest of missed opportunities. It's the gradual erosion of your self-respect as you repeatedly choose the easy path over the meaningful one. Every day you stay the same, you're not just avoiding growth, you're actively shrinking. Because the world keeps moving, opportunities keep passing. And while you're standing still in your comfort zone, life is happening around you without you. But what if today could be different? What if right now, listening to this, you could make the decision that changes everything? What if the life you've been dreaming about is just one uncomfortable decision away? The neuroscience of staying stuck. Your brain is designed to keep you alive, not to make you happy. This is the fundamental truth that explains why breaking out of your comfort zone feels so terrifying and why staying stuck feels so natural. Your brain's primary job is survival, and survival means avoiding risk, staying with the familiar, choosing the predictable over the unknown. Every time you think about doing something new, something challenging, something that could change your life, your brain's alarm system goes off. The amygdala, your brain's fear center, starts screaming warnings. Danger! Unknown territory! This could hurt you! Go back to what you know! This is why applying for a new job feels like preparing for battle. Why starting a conversation with a stranger makes your heart race. Why posting your creative work online feels like stepping into an arena with lions. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between the risk of physical death and the risk of social rejection, career failure, or personal embarrassment. But here's what's fascinating: your brain is also incredibly adaptable. Neuroplasticity means that every time you do something outside your comfort zone, you literally rewire your neural pathways. You teach your brain that new experiences aren't threats to be avoided, but opportunities to be explored. You expand your definition of what feels safe and familiar. The problem is that most people never push past that initial fear response. They feel the discomfort and interpret it as a sign that they're doing something wrong, that they should turn back, that they're not ready. But discomfort isn't a warning sign, it's a growth sign. It's your brain's way of telling you that you're entering territory where real change is possible. Think about every skill you've ever developed, every relationship you've ever built, every achievement you've ever earned. None of them happened in your comfort zone. Learning to walk was terrifying for toddler you. Your first day of school was overwhelming. Your first job was intimidating. Your first time driving was nerve-wracking. But you pushed through the discomfort, and what once felt impossible became automatic. The tragedy is that somewhere along the way, most adults stop pushing through discomfort. They mistake the feeling of growth for the feeling of danger, and they retreat back to what feels safe. They start choosing comfort over growth, familiarity over possibility, the known disappointment over the unknown opportunity. But your comfort zone is not a fixed boundary. It's not a permanent limitation. It's a choice you make every single day. Every morning when you wake up, you decide whether you're going to expand your world or contract it. Whether you're going to say yes to something that scares you or no to something that could change you. The neuroscience is clear: your brain will adapt to whatever you consistently expose it to. If you consistently choose comfort, your brain will become more sensitive to discomfort, more resistant to change, more attached to the familiar. Your comfort zone will actually shrink over time. But if you consistently choose growth, if you regularly do things that challenge you, if you make friends with discomfort instead of avoiding it, your brain will adapt to that too. Your capacity for handling uncertainty will increase. Your tolerance for risk will expand. Your confidence in your ability to navigate new situations will grow. This is why some people seem naturally brave while others seem naturally anxious. It's not about genetics or personality. It's about practice. Brave people aren't born brave. They become brave by repeatedly choosing courage over comfort, growth over safety, possibility over predictability. The framework for understanding your comfort zone begins with recognizing that it's not actually a zone at all. It's a mindset. It's a set of beliefs about what you're capable of, what you deserve, what's possible for someone like you. And like all beliefs, it can be changed. Your comfort zone is made up of 3 layers: your physical comfort zone, your emotional comfort zone, and your social comfort zone. Your physical comfort zone includes the activities you're willing to do, the places you're willing to go, the physical challenges you're willing to accept. Your emotional comfort zone includes the feelings you're willing to experience, the vulnerability you're willing to show, the emotional risks you're willing to take. Your social comfort zone includes the people you're willing to meet, the conversations you're willing to have, the social situations you're willing to navigate. Most people have tiny comfort zones in all 3 areas. They stick to the same physical activities, avoid emotional depth, and limit themselves to social situations where they feel completely safe and in control. They've created lives that are so small, so predictable, so risk-free that they've eliminated not just the possibility of failure, but also the possibility of extraordinary success. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control your life by staying in your comfort zone, the more out of control you actually become. Because life is inherently uncertain, inherently risky, inherently unpredictable. By trying to avoid all discomfort, you guarantee that you'll be unprepared when discomfort inevitably finds you. The people who seem most confident, most successful, most fulfilled aren't the people who never face challenges. They're the people who have learned to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. They've expanded their comfort zones so much that what used to terrify them now feels manageable. They've developed what psychologists call distress tolerance, the ability to function effectively even when experiencing anxiety, uncertainty, or fear. This is the secret that high achievers understand: discomfort is not the enemy of success. Discomfort is the price of admission to the life you actually want. Every goal worth achieving, every dream worth pursuing, every person worth becoming requires you to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. The framework for growth is simple. Identify where you want to go. Acknowledge that the path requires leaving your comfort zone, and then systematically expand your comfort zone until that path feels manageable. It's not about taking massive risks or making dramatic changes overnight. It's about taking small, consistent steps outside your current boundaries until those boundaries naturally expand. The compound effect of micro-courage. The biggest lie we tell ourselves about change is that it has to be dramatic to be meaningful. We think we need to quit our job, move to another country, or completely reinvent ourselves overnight. We're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of confidence before we take action. But extraordinary lives aren't built through extraordinary moments. They're built through ordinary moments where extraordinary choices are made. They're built through what I call micro-courage, small acts of bravery that compound over time into major transformations. Micro-courage is saying hello to someone you find interesting instead of just walking past them. It's raising your hand in a meeting when you have an idea, even though your voice might shake. It's posting that creative project you've been working on, even though it's not perfect. It's signing up for that class you've been thinking about for months. It's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Micro-courage doesn't feel heroic in the moment. It feels terrifying, awkward, uncomfortable. But it has the power to change the entire trajectory of your life because it changes your relationship with fear. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, you start to see it as a compass pointing toward growth. The principle of micro-courage is based on the compound effect, the idea that small actions, repeated consistently over time, create massive results. Just like compound interest in investing, where small amounts of money grow into wealth through the power of time, small acts of courage grow into confidence, capability, and extraordinary outcomes. Think about it this way: if you do one small thing outside your comfort zone, every day for a year, you'll have 365 experiences of proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort and uncertainty. Your brain will have 365 data points showing that scary things aren't actually dangerous, that you're more resilient than you thought, that growth feels better than stagnation. But if you wait for the perfect moment to make a big change, you might have 0 experiences of courage in that same year. You'll have 0 data points of growth, 0 evidence of your capability, 0 expansion of your comfort zone. The person who practices micro-courage daily and the person who waits for the perfect moment to be brave are not the same person after a year. They don't have the same confidence, the same opportunities, the same sense of what's possible. They don't even have the same brain, neurologically speaking. This is why successful people often seem lucky. They're not actually luckier. They just have more opportunities because they've put themselves in more situations where opportunities can find them. They've said yes to more invitations, started more conversations, taken more chances, applied to more programs, shared more ideas. Every micro act of courage creates micro opportunities. The conversation you start with a stranger might lead to a job offer, a friendship, a business partnership, or a romantic relationship. The skill you decide to learn might become your new career. The creative project you share might connect you with your tribe. The event you attend might introduce you to a mentor, but you'll never know which small, brave act will change your life. Which is why you have to make brave acts a habit, rather than a special occasion. The principle works in reverse too. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're not just missing that one opportunity. You're training your brain that comfort is more important than growth, that safety is more valuable than possibility. You're strengthening neural pathways that make it easier to choose comfort next time, and harder to choose courage. This is why some people seem to get more timid as they get older, while others seem to get more adventurous. It's not about age, it's about practice. The people who get more timid have been practicing avoiding discomfort for decades. The people who get more adventurous have been practicing embracing discomfort for decades. The beautiful thing about micro courage is that it's accessible to everyone, regardless of your current circumstances. You don't need money, permission, or special skills to practice it. You just need the willingness to feel uncomfortable for a few minutes at a time. Micro courage might look like taking a different route to work to break your routine. It might be trying a new restaurant instead of going to your usual place. It might be introducing yourself to someone at a networking event instead of standing in the corner with your phone. It might be sharing an opinion in a group chat where you usually just lurk. It might be asking for help when you need it instead of struggling alone. The key is consistency, not intensity. It's better to do something slightly uncomfortable every day than to do something extremely uncomfortable once a month. Your comfort zone expands gradually, organically, sustainably when you practice micro courage. It snaps back to its original size when you only challenge it occasionally. This is also why crash diets don't work but lifestyle changes do. Why dramatic life overhauls usually fail, but small habit changes succeed. Your identity changes gradually through repeated actions, not through dramatic declarations. When you practice micro courage consistently, you start to see yourself differently. Instead of someone who avoids challenges, you become someone who embraces them. Instead of someone who plays it safe, you become someone who takes calculated risks. Instead of someone who waits for permission, you become someone who creates opportunities. This identity shift is everything. Because once you see yourself as someone who can handle discomfort, who can learn new things, who can adapt to change, there's literally no limit to what you can achieve. Your comfort zone becomes not a prison, but a launching pad. The principle of micro courage teaches us that transformation is not about one giant leap. It's about 10,000 tiny steps in the direction of who you want to become. It's about showing up every day with the willingness to be a little bit braver than you were yesterday. The woman who rewrote her life one small risk at a time. Let me tell you about Sarah Martinez, a 34-year-old accountant from Denver who felt completely trapped in her own life. Every morning, she would wake up in her studio apartment at 6:30 a.m., press snooze twice, drag herself to the bathroom, and stare at a stranger in the mirror who looked as tired as she felt. Her routine was clockwork: same breakfast, same route to work, same parking spot, same desk, same spreadsheets, same lunch from the cafeteria, same route home, same dinner for one, same Netflix shows, same bedtime. She had perfected the art of living without really being alive. Sarah's comfort zone was so small you could measure it in city blocks. Work, gym, grocery store, apartment. Work, gym, grocery store, apartment. Like a hamster on a wheel. She was expending energy but going nowhere. She had dreams, of course. She wanted to travel to Japan, learn photography, start her own business, maybe write a book about her experience growing up as a first-generation American. She wanted to take salsa dancing lessons, try rock climbing, learn to cook something more exciting than pasta and frozen vegetables. She wanted to date someone who challenged her, inspired her, made her laugh until her stomach hurt. But every time she thought about actually pursuing any of these dreams, her brain would flood her with perfectly logical reasons why it wasn't the right time. She didn't have enough money saved for travel. She didn't know anything about photography. She didn't have a business idea. She wasn't a writer. She was too clumsy for dancing. She was afraid of heights. She was a terrible cook. She was too busy for dating. The truth was, Sarah wasn't too busy, too broke, or too anything. She was too scared. Scared of failing, scared of looking foolish. scared of investing time and energy in something that might not work out. Scared of being disappointed. Scared of discovering that maybe she wasn't as capable, talented, or interesting as she hoped. So she stayed safe, and safe felt terrible. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in March when Sarah realized she couldn't remember the last time she had felt genuinely excited about anything. She was scrolling through Instagram during her lunch break, looking at pictures of her college roommate backpacking through Thailand, and she felt a physical ache in her chest. Not jealousy, exactly, but a deep sadness for the life she wasn't living. That night, instead of turning on Netflix, Sarah sat down and made a list of everything she wanted to do, but was scared to try. The list was 3 pages long. She had been accumulating dreams like a hoarder accumulates objects, storing them away for someday, without ever bringing them into the light. Looking at that list, Sarah felt overwhelmed. Where would she even start? How could she possibly transform from someone who ordered the same salad for lunch every day into someone who traveled the world and started businesses and wrote books? Then, she remembered something her grandmother used to say, "Mija, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step." So Sarah decided to take the smallest possible first step. Instead of planning a trip to Japan, she would try a new restaurant. Instead of starting a business, she would read one article about entrepreneurship. Instead of writing a book, she would write 1 page in a journal. Instead of taking salsa lessons, she would watch 1 YouTube video. The next day, instead of getting her usual Caesar salad from the cafeteria, Sarah walked 3 blocks to a Thai restaurant she had passed hundreds of times but never entered. Her heart was racing as she approached the door. This is ridiculous, she thought. It's just lunch. But her nervous system didn't know the difference between trying pad thai for the first time and jumping out of an airplane. She ordered something she couldn't pronounce, and it was delicious. More importantly, she survived. She had done something different, something that required a tiny bit of courage, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, she felt more alive during that 30-minute lunch than she had felt in months. That success gave her the confidence to try something else. The next week, she signed up for a beginner photography workshop at the community college. Her hands were shaking as she filled out the registration form online, but she clicked submit before she could talk herself out of it. The photography class was terrifying and wonderful. Sarah discovered she had a good eye for composition, but more importantly, she discovered that she could learn new things, that she could be bad at something and still enjoy it, that she could be the beginner in a room full of strangers and survive. For her first assignment, she had to take 100 photos of her neighborhood. This forced her to actually look at the place she had been walking through on autopilot for 3 years. She found beauty in details she had never noticed. The way morning light hit the brick buildings, the expressions on people's faces as they waited for the bus, the street art hidden in alleys she had never explored. Photography gave Sarah a reason to go to new places, to talk to strangers, to see her world with fresh eyes. She started taking weekend photo walks to different neighborhoods, then different cities. Each trip required her to navigate new places, figure out transportation, maybe ask for directions or recommendations. 6 months after that first Thai lunch, Sarah had visited 12 new restaurants, completed a photography course, started an Instagram account for her photos, joined a hiking group, taken a weekend trip to Santa Fe, and signed up for Spanish lessons. None of these things were huge risks. She didn't quit her job or move across the country. She didn't invest her life savings in a crazy scheme. She just said yes to small opportunities, one at a time, building her courage like a muscle. But the cumulative effect was extraordinary. Sarah started to see herself differently. Instead of, "I'm not the kind of person who," She started thinking, I'm the kind of person who tries new things. Instead of, I could never. She started thinking, I could learn how to. This identity shift opened up possibilities she hadn't even considered before. When a coworker mentioned that her friend's marketing company was looking for someone with photography skills to help with social media, Sarah raised her hand. 6 months earlier, she would never have had the skills or the confidence to pursue that opportunity. The side gig led to more clients, which led to more skills, which led to more confidence. A year after her first Thai lunch, Sarah was making enough money from freelance photography and social media consulting to cut back to part-time at her accounting job. But the real transformation wasn't professional. It was personal. Sarah had become someone who said yes to invitations, who started conversations with strangers, who planned adventures instead of just watching Netflix. She had friends now, real friends who shared her interests and challenged her thinking. She was dating someone she met at a photography workshop who made her laugh and supported her dreams. The woman who used to panic at the thought of trying a new restaurant was now planning a solo photography trip to Costa Rica. The woman who used to eat lunch alone at her desk was now leading weekend photo walks for other beginners. The woman who used to think she wasn't creative was now being paid for her artistic vision. Sarah's story isn't special because she's particularly talented or brave or lucky. It's special because it's possible for anyone. She didn't have any advantages, any special skills, any insider knowledge. She just decided to stop letting fear make her decisions. The most powerful part of Sarah's transformation is that it started with such a small step, a 3-block walk to try Pad Thai. That's it. That's how life-changing journeys begin. Not with dramatic gestures or perfect plans, but with the willingness to be slightly uncomfortable in service of something better. Today, Sarah still feels fear when she tries new things. The difference is that she no longer sees fear as a reason to stop. She sees it as information. Fear tells her she's about to grow, learn something, expand her world. Instead of running from fear, she runs toward it. When people ask Sarah how she transformed her life, she always comes back to the same principles. You don't have to be brave for a lifetime. You just have to be brave for a moment, and then another moment, and then another. Every single day, you get to choose between comfort and growth. Sarah learned to choose growth so consistently that it became automatic. Her comfort zone didn't disappear, but it became so large that it included most of the things she used to think were impossible. The life you want is not as far away as you think. It's just one small, brave decision away, and then another, and then another. Your 30-day comfort zone challenge. The time for thinking about change is over. The time for planning change is over. The time for waiting for the perfect moment is over. The time for action is now. But I'm not going to ask you to quit your job tomorrow, or move to Bali, or start a company. I'm going to ask you to do something much more radical. I'm going to ask you to be slightly uncomfortable every single day for the next 30 days. This is your 30-day comfort zone challenge, and it will change your life if you let it. Not because any single day will be transformative, but because 30 days of small, brave acts will rewire your brain, expand your sense of what's possible, and prove to yourself that you're more capable than you ever imagined. The rules are simple. Every day for 30 days, you must do one thing that makes you feel slightly uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be outside your current comfort zone. Here's your progressive 30-day roadmap. Week 1 is about social micro-courage. Day 1, make eye contact and smile at 5 strangers. Day 20, start a conversation with someone you don't know well. Day 30, call someone you've been meaning to reach out to but kept putting off. Day 4, give someone a genuine compliment. Day 50, ask for help with something you usually do alone. Day 16, introduce yourself to a neighbor you've never spoken to. Day 70, attend a social event where you know few people. Week 2 is about creative and professional micro-courage. Day 80, share something you've created, even if it's not perfect. Day 19, speak up in a meeting or group discussion. Day 10, apply for something you're not 100% qualified for. Day 11, take on a project that challenges your current skills. Day 12, ask for feedback on your work. Day 13, suggest a new idea at work or in your personal projects. Day 14, teach someone something you know how to do. Week 3 is about physical and adventure micro-courage. Day 15, try a new type of exercise or physical activity. Day 16, eat at a restaurant you've never been to, preferably a different type of cuisine. Day 17, take a different route to somewhere you go regularly. Day 18, attend a class or workshop to learn something new. Day 19, explore a neighborhood or area you've never visited. Day 20, try an activity that requires some physical courage like rock climbing, dancing, or public speaking. Day 21, plan a day trip to somewhere you've never been. Week 4 is about emotional and vulnerable micro-courage. Day 22, have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Day 230, say no to something you don't want to do but usually would do out of obligation. Day 24, express an opinion you usually keep to yourself. Day 25, ask for what you want instead of hoping someone will guess. Day 26, apologize for something you've done wrong. Day 27, share something personal about yourself with someone you trust. Day 28, set a boundary with someone who consistently crosses your limits. Days 29 and 30 are your choice. Pick the 2 things from your personal dream list that scare you the most, but that you could actually do. Maybe it's signing up for that course you've been researching for months. Maybe it's booking that trip you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's starting that project you've been planning in your head. But here's the crucial part: you have to track your progress. Every day, write down what you did, how it felt, and what you learned. This documentation serves 3 purposes. It keeps you accountable, it helps you process the experience, and it creates evidence of your growth that you can look back on when fear tells you to retreat. Most people who start comfort zone challenges quit after a few days because they don't see immediate results. But that's like expecting to see muscle growth after 2 days at the gym. The results are cumulative. Every single act of micro-courage is building your courage muscle, even when you can't see it happening. You're going to want to quit. Your brain is going to throw a tantrum. It's going to tell you this is stupid, unnecessary, too hard, not worth it. It's going to remind you of every time you've failed at something new. It's going to try to convince you that comfort is better than growth. This is normal. This is expected. This is not a reason to stop. This is your brain doing its job of trying to keep you safe. Thank it for its concern and do the uncomfortable thing anyway. Some days will be easier than others. Some challenges will feel natural, others will feel impossible. That's fine. The goal is not to feel comfortable doing uncomfortable things. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can do uncomfortable things even when they feel uncomfortable. You don't have to do this alone. Share your challenge with friends. Post about it on social media. Find an accountability partner. The more support you have, the more likely you are to follow through. But ultimately, this is about you proving something to yourself. Every day that you choose growth over comfort, you're voting for the person you want to become. Every day that you do something that scares you, you're expanding your sense of what's possible. After 30 days, your comfort zone won't be the same size it was when you started. Your confidence won't be at the same level. Your sense of what you're capable of will have fundamentally shifted. You won't be the same person you were a month ago, but more importantly, you'll have proof that you can change. You'll have evidence that you can do hard things. You'll have 30 experiences of choosing courage over comfort. And once you know you can do it for 30 days, you'll know you can do it for 30 more. The life you want is waiting for you outside your comfort zone. It's been waiting for you to be brave enough to come find it. Stop waiting for permission, for the perfect plan, for the ideal moment. Start with today. Start with one small, uncomfortable thing. Your future self is counting on the choice you make right now. Will you choose comfort or will you choose growth? Will you stay where you are or will you start moving toward who you want to become? The answer is in your hands. The power is in your choice. The time is now. Your comfort zone has kept you safe, but it can't keep you growing. And a life without growth is not really a life at all. It's time to break free. It's time to expand. It's time to discover what you're truly capable of. The challenge starts now. Day one starts today. Your transformation begins with your next decision. What will it be?